Savini, like Tom Savini was the man. Like anything he did with special effects was like
Yeah.
I'm like to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah,
And I was
Did you
like a
absolutely.
ever
little kid, like 9, 10 years old.
did you ever
And
meet him?
yeah, like I said, I met him at conventions, and then I went to his school.
Man, I love all that stuff behind you. That's like the Hellraiser, is that right? Right there behind you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got
Pinhead.
Pinhead, and I got a Butterball back here.
Dude, yeah, I was looking at some of your stuff. It's insane.
We did for a little short that we did.
Oh, cool.
Man,
So
So
that's
cool.
you're
gorgeous.
so you're into special effects.
Yeah, that's basically what I do. I'm a special effects artist. Went to Tom Savini school
Oh,
Ooh,
nice.
back in 2011, and been doing it ever since. And then I got really into like making movies when I started like writing stories and scripts.
Yeah,
okay.
that's a good that's a good thing to have, when you're going into
Yeah,
making movies is being
yeah,
able to do special effects.
yeah,
Oh yeah, it definitely that's like a huge budget when it comes to special effects. That's why a lot of people don't bring in special effects artists.
Right. Yeah, it's expensive. Some of the people we've talked to, that's, what most of the money really goes to. Is obviously the actors, and then special effects is a big one, whether
Yeah.
it be practical or anything.
So
Yeah.
with these ones that you have behind you, are you making those for somebody? Or are you selling them, or what are they for?
Yeah, these are for a friend of mine. I make them for his mask company and he sells them.
Hmm.
Um, we have a deal like I basically made it for my wife, the Pinhead and Butterball.
Mhm.
And on the other side, I'm actually sculpting a chatter right now. It's almost done.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I did it for my wife for a Christmas gift. And then 'cause I don't really sell anything that's kind of like licensed.
Mhm.
Um, just because I just don't want to deal with the hassles.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
and yeah, like I said, I don't want to try to make money off, other people's work. So I just make it because I want to do it, and I'm a fan of the stuff. Um, but he buys them off me, and then he sells them and markets them up and stuff like that.
Yeah, okay. So that pinhead back there, is it a bust? Is that what they call them? Bust? It's
Yeah,
just
this is basically like a foam bust that's I put like the nails in it.
yeah,
I'm gonna go like all through the whole thing.
man,
But
that's sexy.
That's
yeah,
cool as shit. Yeah.
I have a bunch of like the finished pictures up on my page on my Instagram. I'm more on the Instagram than Facebook. I always get kicked off Facebook for posting this stuff.
Yeah,
Really?
like blood, anything with blood, probably,
Anything
right?
with blood and gore, I get kicked off Facebook all the time.
Yeah,
Oh,
Instagram I feel like Instagram's lightened up a little bit, but they kind of used to be like that as well, like a
Yeah,
couple years ago.
yeah.
yeah.
I've never gotten flagged off Instagram or anything like that. And I mean, I don't really post like the gory stuff just because I'm like too like I don't know. I like a lot like 90% of my work comes off of like Instagram and Facebook, so I don't want to
Yeah.
get kicked off of it.
Right, right,
Yeah.
yeah. Plus, it might not be as bad since it's an actual product. I think with Instagram, it's more like people flagging it. Like someone will be like, "Oh, this is like offensive" or whatever. I feel like that happens to a lot of people. A lot of like people who do just like effects themselves. They have like, effects pages and stuff like that, and they always get flagged. Someone gets offended by the blood, and they someone hits it, and then they get taken off or banned for 30 days or whatever the hell it is.
Everybody's offended right now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's 100% true. Yeah, I got flagged. It was literally a year. I posted an Evil Dead picture, and it was like the 2013 where she's like cutting her mouth open, and I
Mhm.
kind of like reenacted that, and it was whenever John and I were doing a podcast, and when I posted, it immediately got taken down. I was like, "What the hell?" And then
Really?
yeah, took it down. I posted it again. They took it down. They sent me this message like, "Your account will be suspended if you do it again," or something like that. And then it was literally a year. I waited about a year or so, I think, and posted again. Nothing happened. So yeah, I think they're a little bit more chill, maybe, or maybe that if somebody was flat or like clicking on my shit, being like, "This motherfucker's a ass. I don't like him, so I'm just gonna flag him or whatever." Maybe they're
Yeah.
gone. Who knows? But
Yeah, they're probably looking into it a little bit more for people like you who, actually make money off stuff, and it's kind of like livelihood, you know, where you're making money and it's obviously fake. Like, you know, you can
Yeah,
usually tell because I know a lot of people do that. You have to post before. It's like fake blood question, you
yeah,
know, like an exclamation point. Kind of
yeah.
annoying.
I've seen a lot of people doing that now. But
Yeah.
I actually just got I got banned for a 24-hour ban from a post that I did 2 years ago.
On what?
And it was basically a comment on my son was like, what's your favorite like album or what's your favorite song or something? And like they were just doing like this whole like poll thing. And I said Metallica's Kill 'Em All.
Oh wow.
And I said
Yeah.
they banned me because I wrote Kill 'Em All.
Wow, that's
Like
stupid.
I had like a
Yeah.
24 like dude, that was like literally 2 years ago.
Huh.
That's
That's
was that
weird.
on Facebook?
Yeah,
And
Oh
they
yeah,
like it was it like recent they banned you though?
yeah, it was like
Yeah,
two
it's
weeks
so
ago.
weird.
I had a 24-hour ban.
those
That's
fucking
so weird.
assholes. I don't have Facebook. I strayed away from that about 6 years ago. Man, I just couldn't do it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'm not even on like a social media guy. I'm pretty private, honestly. Like, I don't promote my work nowhere near as much as everybody tells me to.
Yeah.
Uh, you
I
know,
can tell what you're doing, man. It's fucking killer work. You should promote it.
Yeah, you
Like
should promote it, dude.
yeah.
it's like
I'm just again. I'm not antisocial. I just do my own thing. Work with the
Yeah.
like people that I like to work with.
yeah,
You know, and because there's just way too many haters out there,
Oh,
I agree.
absolutely.
especially on Facebook. There's so much negativity.
Yeah, it can be a cesspool for sure. You got to weave through those types of people. Speaking of working with people though, did you have like a whole effects team for the movie for Valentine Bluffs and everything, or was it just you or
No, for Valentine Bluffs, I brought in my partner Darren, Darren Pastor, who's basically he's been like a self-taught artist for a little bit, um, and he is also the bass player and guitar player for Pocono Posse,
oh shit.
and they had like a lot of the songs in Valentine Bluffs, the end song too, like the end credit song.
Yeah.
They did
Okay.
that.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
he's good and a really good guy to work with. Ryan Schaefer, he he was one of our sponsors. He came in and like molded some of the props and made some of the mini pickaxe and the knife mold. He did that. Chuck Ryan, the guy who played the miner and the producer, he makes his own like whole, miner costume and the pickaxes and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Uh, so
He
yeah,
he did he made the whole thing.
yeah. That's basically how I met him. He's a cosplayer.
Yeah.
You I was vending up in Cincinnati at Horror Hound like probably like 5 years ago. And like I said, I'm just like a huge fan of horror, and like I just watched this cosplayer walk by me. I was like, oh man, this costume so like it's awesome. It's like one of my favorite movies. You don't really see that too often.
Yeah.
Um, so I grabbed a picture with him, and then like that was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I had the idea of doing the whole like Valentine Bluff fan film and like the sequel to it, and I was like, man, I wonder if this guy I met like 5 years ago would remember me, and I started like reaching out to like a bunch of people I do deal with like at conventions and was like, hey, does anybody know who this guy is? And luckily like after a month of like looking, this one guy was just like, hey, check out Chuck Ryan. So I found him on Facebook and I was like, hey, is this you? And he was like, yeah, that's me. And I was like, yeah, I got a picture with you. I'm a filmmaker and special effects artist and I want to do a sequel, like a fan film to My Bloody Valentine. You'd be interested in doing that? And I kind of thought he was local because like, he was in Cincinnati where I met him, and and then he turns out like he's in Wisconsin and
Oh wow.
so far away. And and at first he was like, oh yeah, it sounds interesting, but I'm not really sure I want to do something like that. And um, I gave him like my best pitch, my best sales pitch to do this thing. And I got off the phone. I was telling my wife, I was like, man, I don't think he was too interested in doing this. And we exchanged phone numbers and we talked a little bit, and then I sent him my first short film that I did, Hunting for Justice, and you know, I just like, hey, check this out, and let me know what you think. This is some of the stuff that we can do, and I was like, I have a whole new team with better equipment, and we could do something really cool, and he got back to me. He was like, "Yeah, let's do it." He's like, "I really like the film," and he's like, "I thought you were gonna be like a backyard filmmaker, like shooting on a camcorder where you're like, in the backyard of your like house." And I was like, "No, like it's legit." And we just started talking a little bit more and more about it. And he was like, "Do you have a script?" And I was like, "Nope, I got a story in my head." And I was like, "Give me, a couple of weeks, and I'll get back to you with a script." And I wrote the script. I wrote the original script in like 2 weeks.
Mm.
And then I sent it to him, and he was hooked. He was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then
Oh
that's
yeah,
how basically where it started.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, where'd you guys film?
We shot at a lot of locations actually. We shot,
I heard, did you shoot in Pennsylvania?
yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. I'm in
Okay.
Scranton, like I'm near the Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area.
Hmm.
Okay.
The east side of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's so big. Like if you go 5 hours, 6 hours, you're in Pittsburgh. So
Right.
it's a long drive to go there. Um, yeah, we shot like up here in my studio. We built some of the sets in my studio. The whole museum, the photo studio. You watched the film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the the Miners Museum, the photo studio, and Kelly, the daughter, her office space we built in my studio.
Oh, nice.
Um, and then the mine was actually shot in Ashland, PA.
It was a
About it,
real mine, though, right?
yeah, it was a real mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Um,
cool, man. We talked to Nightmare Christie, and
yeah, I seen
she was
that.
saying that she was saying it was a real mine. I was like, holy shit, that's
That's
fucking sick.
yeah, super
Uh,
Yeah,
dope.
it was crazy because that was like the very first location we were like we want to try to find. And up where I'm at, we have like a couple of like ore mines, so we were like, we can go to like check them out and see. And we contacted the first two, and they were just like, "No, we're not interested." And then we contacted this one. We thought it was going to be really hard. Like we thought that was going to be the hardest location to get, and found out like after we talked to this one person, it was real easy. It was a matter of like, "Oh, okay, let's do it." And we are like, "Well, how much are going to cost us?" And she was like, "How about this?" And we were like, "Okay." And
yeah.
then we
So
did it.
it's an abandoned mine, though, right? Like it's not a usable one anymore, or I don't even know
No,
if people do
it's not
anything like that.
usable, but it is a tour of mine. Like you can tour it, like go and tour it,
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
but it
Because
is
like
real.
in Tennessee, we have a few of them, and you do not go around them. Like you get in trouble if you go into them because they're like they'll
Yeah.
collapse and shit,
Yeah, they're
So
probably dangerous.
yeah,
Yeah. We have a few up here that are like that. It's just like abandoned.
Mhm.
Um, where I live in Pittston, it's famous for, I don't know the whole story, but I know it was like 50 something years ago where there was a real mine explosion where a lot of people died in it.
Mm.
wow,
Um, yeah, so I was like, man, I wonder if they made the movie off that.
yeah,
Um,
How was it when I was talking to Christy? I was really interested in how you shot in there as far as lighting goes. Like, was it super dark in there, or did they have it kind of
yeah.
lit up, or did you have to kind of blast light on everything?
No, we were actually not allowed to take anything that plugs in there. So we had to go and get like these small little battery operated lights. Um, and the lighting that is in there is actually the lighting from the mine.
Yeah, okay.
oh wow,
So there was a lot of dark spots. There's a lot of spots that are kind of lit. And then my partner Roland, he was our lighting guy that day because we didn't have a lighting guy. The first day, man, like there was so many hiccups in this film. But the very first day of like scheduled shooting was the mine. It was the hardest day. And the night, like midnight, I get a text message from the sound person, and he was like, "Hey, I can't make it."
Ugh.
So we had to go in like that whole day without a sound person. We again, we my camera guy was like, "I got some crappy sound equipment, and we try to use that, and we use the sound off my camera." And then one of the actors in the film, we know he did like some sounds work in like theater. So we're
Mhm.
like, "Hey, dude, you want to do this?" So we
Yeah.
kind of threw him into that position where he's like sound guy now. And then we had like 2 weeks after that to get like some sound equipment, some rent real sound equipment, and get him like to practice using it. But yeah, sound was like a major issue at one point for us. But when we went to the mine, it was like I said, we scouted the location like 2 months before that, and we went in, it was dry. And then we went like when we went to shoot, I remember it was like 90 degrees. It was like August, and you go up to the front door and you open up the front door and it's like 40 degrees. It's so cold,
Whoa.
and none
Wow.
of us were prepared for that.
Right.
So like people were wearing shorts.
Yeah.
It was so cold in there, and when we got in there, it was wet, damp. It rained like 2 days before that, so it was like just like it was dripping on you. So our camera guy was kind of freaking out about his camera.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was crazy. But like the biggest thing was like the sound, like not having sound for the first time in there.
Right.
So we actually went back in 2 months after the film was shot and did the reshoot like in the mine. So we called them up and we were like, "Hey, can we come back in there?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's going to cost us a little bit more." And we're like, "Okay." It was kind of like they had us, we're like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
we must do whatever they say now. But they
Yeah.
were cool. They were really cool about it. They let us stay in there. I think we were in there the second time like 4 hours longer than what we should have been. Um, just trying to get everything done.
Wow.
Yeah, it
So
takes a lot. And you're like I don't know, Taylor, you might be, I think you're probably the fourth filmmaker we've had on. And I think every single one of them had said, yeah, right when we were about to shoot, this
Something
person
happened.
quit.
Yeah.
This person
It's
quit. Like it happens to everyone. It's crazy.
yeah, in the indie world, you always got that, but like sound is like so important to your film.
Oh, for
It's like,
sure.
I think it's like 70% because the last two films that I worked on before that with my old crew, the sound was horrible. The sound guy was horrible, didn't know what he was doing. Um, and you can actually get by watching a bad film as long as you can hear what it is.
Yeah.
Not really too worried about the quality of the shots. You're just like, you're just enjoying the film for what it is.
Right.
Uh, but if you watch a $1 million film, $10 million film, and the sound's bad, you're like, oh, this film sucks.
Yeah. It's like
You
the
know,
first thing you notice. It's one of those things I think where like when it sounds good and it flows with the movie, no one really thinks about it. But if it's bad, it's the first thing someone picks up on, you know?
yeah, I agree, and that's why we were kind of worried about that. It was like, man, like, we tried to find a new, well, man, like, dude, that was just like the beginning. Like a month before that, we had a full crew. We actually had a contract deal worked out with a full crew that came with a DP, a sound, lighting, and the first AD.
Mm.
And it kind of got like really screwy. Like when I'll say like when the indie campaign started raising more money, they wanted more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, no, we had a deal,
Right.
and it kind of just didn't work out. And stuff was said, and we were like, we're done with them. And
Gonna go a
we
different
were left with
way.
like, and we were scheduled to shoot, around that time, and we had to postpone the shoot for a whole month, like later. Um, flights had to be canceled because we were bringing in little Stevie
Yeah.
Horror Stevie. um, we were bringing him in from Chicago, so we had to cancel his flight. Um, Airbnbs were booked, and we lost money. We didn't
Yeah.
get our money back for some of the stuff. So that was like you're starting out from the very beginning like a disaster. It's like
Yeah. I
um,
was gonna ask you too. How did you get hooked up with them? Was it cons like Nightmare Christie and Horror Stevie? Was it cons as well?
no, we found Chuck Ryan, our cosplayer, like our miner and producer.
Mm.
He was a big part of like knowing a lot of people. Like, now I knew Christy, I knew like Namir Tui from seeing her at like conventions, but didn't know her personally. But Chuck did, and he was like, I can reach out to her and see. Um, she was super cool. Like, well, I remember just reaching out to her, and they were talking about like sponsoring the film
Mm.
and putting up some money for it, and as long as we kind of like help promote the film, their store and stuff like that. And when I was like rewriting the scripts, and we went through like 11 rewrites um in a year. Like, these other characters start like we got like the film just kept getting bigger and bigger. When the original draft though was like 30 minutes long, it was supposed to be like a short film.
Oh wow.
And like when we got Fright Rags hooked up, like Fright, like that was crazy.
Yeah,
You know,
how'd that come about too? You can finish your statement or your story, but I wanted to know
yeah,
how that came about too.
Yeah, but like all these sponsors like came from Chuck. Like he knew them and he reached out to them and they were like, yeah, like they like the whole idea of the film and they know him and they sponsored it and then Nightmare Toys jumped on and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it and I reached out to her and I was like, hey, would you want to be in the film? And she was like, oh my God, yeah, that'd be great. And then throwing the whole like commercial in there was like, again, in one of the rewrites, I was like, oh, it'd be funny to get this like cheesy 80s commercial, like one of them
Yeah.
Crazy Eddie commercials back in the
Yeah.
80s. And that's what I basically told her, like, that's what we want. And then she gave us like a first cut of it, and I was like, that's perfect. Don't even change it. Um, so what you see is like the first take of what they did.
Yeah. That was super cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Christy was awesome. She's like one of my favorite episodes so far that we've done. She was so easy to talk to. And she said she had a blast on the film. And
Yeah.
because I know she talked a little bit about how she's not a huge fan of water. And
Yeah, and
her death is
we didn't
pretty
find that out
hardcore.
until after she did it. Um,
She was like, I was a little nervous, but I just dove in. I really wanted to die and shit. So like, yeah, that's cool.
yeah, and that whole scene got changed like when we got to the location because that was a location where we didn't get to see until we got there. Um, and it was like, man, it's like huge house. It had a hot tub up there and awesome basement. Um, it was like really, it was just a big house. And their original death scene was supposed to take place in a smaller place, and she was supposed to be making out with Corey, the guy who takes her home, the pizza guy.
Mm,
Um, and they were like kind of kissing, and the miner comes in and grabs her by the hair and throws her up, hits Corey with the mini pickaxe in the head, and then throws her down, and she kind of like lands on top of him, and then he stomps on her head and pushes her head on the back of the pickaxe, so they kind of like heads get close together.
right.
And we were set up to do that whole effect, but when we got to the house, we were like, oh man, it'd be cool to like utilize this whole house and take him out of that whole like miner, in the mine thing and make him
Yeah.
in like a Michael Myers kind of,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you get production value like that too with something that big, like with a house
oh
that big,
yeah,
you got to utilize it.
yeah. It
That
was like
adds to the film.
playing like with that whole like stalker thing, in the house, was pretty cool. And like I said, we shot a lot more, but it was trimmed down a good bit.
Mhm.
Where was the house? Did you?
That man, that was man, somewhere in I'm trying to think that was in Stewartsville, New Jersey.
New
Because we
Jersey.
shot some stuff in Stewartsville, New Jersey. Like the cemetery scenes and the bar and the dance that was a place in like right outside of Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
I think it was like an Airbnb over there.
Really?
So
Yeah.
you guys just rented it.
Yeah, we rented two big Airbnbs, one for the cast, one for the crew. And we're like just splitting it up instead of like getting like 20 hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Um, we just got like an Airbnb, and then when we got the Airbnb, it was like, oh man, this place is awesome. Let's try to use this.
Yeah.
Did they know what you were doing?
Hmm.
Yeah. I would rent an Airbnb and just not tell anybody that I was doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, it was funny, man. It was like so much stuff was like happening on the fly. Things were being changed. Um, it was fun, you know.
Yeah, that happens a lot. From the more people we talk to, things change according to locations,
Yeah.
where you can do the sets because you obviously have one thing on the script, and it usually doesn't end up that way. I found
Yeah.
out.
It's not what you imagine.
Right. Yeah, because we just had Vincent DeSanti on, who does the Never Hike Alone movies,
Yeah,
and he talked about that a lot with the first Never Hike Alone, how he has it one way in his head, visualizing it one way, and then turn around and you get to the location and you're like, oh well, it's bigger than I thought it was going to be. So these whole, because he's very like visual, as in like when he sees it in his head, that's how he really wants it to go. But it matters a lot, the camera angles and stuff, when something's bigger than he thought, or if he's in a smaller space and that whole thing. So he said a lot changed for him too. But he
yeah,
usually, I said it to him too. pressure makes the diamond. You know, you go through those things and you have to kind of get creative and do different things, and different opportunities arise, like the house. And it sometimes adds to the film that way, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And we had such a small crew. Like it was a skeleton crew. I think we had like 6 people on our crew, like every night.
Hmm.
Um, it was like me, the 2 producers, and uh, my makeup artist Darren was on, he was there helping, and we had our photographer was like there helping out, like doing, and the museum, like we were literally like they were building it while we were shooting a scene right next to it. And I'm like, how's it look? And they're like, you'll see it when you get there.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
Definitely on the
So
fly.
the crew you're working with now, are they like are you gonna stick with them, you think? Maybe for the
Oh
next
yeah,
one?
yeah. These guys have been like, I mean, just I knew from even before we started shooting, like this is the people that I want to be around, because I was with a crew for like 10 years and it ended up like in a really bad, they kind of screwed me over, um, really bad. And I got when we were like, during that whole COVID thing, when I caught COVID, we were shooting the concept trailer for this film, and COVID hit that set, and like 10 people got sick, and I ended up, like 2 or 3 days later, I was like not feeling really well and having a hard time breathing. Called my wife, and uh, we were scheduled to go shoot like a photo shoot that day, and I was like, told my wife, go and take the pictures for me. I don't feel good, and I thought it was like a couple of days later, but it was like I thought it was that night, but it was a couple of days later where I got rushed to the hospital in an ambulance.
Oh wow.
Oh
I
wow.
remember getting in the ambulance, and like that was it. I don't remember going like to the hospital or anything like that. And then I woke up like a month later from a coma.
Holy
Um,
crap.
Wow.
That's
yeah, I
crazy.
was on life support.
Wow.
Even like when I woke up from the coma, I was on life support for like 2 weeks.
Do you have asthma or anything like that?
No,
No.
no,
That's
Just affected people differently.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I got a
just
friend who did pretty much same story as you, man. But he had asthma, so I thought maybe that was the reason why like hit him harder or something, you know?
yeah, it does affect people. I mean, like it's so crazy. Like on that set, like certain people didn't even get it,
Yeah.
and then some people got it, some people got it bad. Like I know there was another guy, one of our old producers, he ended up going to the hospital and he was in like a bad condition for like a couple of days, and he came right out of it and he was in, but I caught it the worst. And how ironic was like I was the only one wearing a mask the whole entire time.
So weird,
Wow.
man.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So
uh,
how you feeling now though?
I got a lot of side effects from it, and
You
Yeah.
got that long COVID is what they call it.
yeah, and it's just, it's been a struggle, and
Really?
but like even getting back into it, like when it took me, a month to get out of the hospital, but I got shipped right to like a physical therapy hospital because I couldn't walk.
Wow.
I couldn't do anything. I was so like I lost like 90 pounds.
Wow.
Um, and it was like all muscle, so like I was so weak, and had to like learn how to walk again. So they were like, you're gonna be in here for like 6 months. And I was like, nah, I'm a huge football fan, I'm a Chiefs fan. So I was just like, I'll be home to watch my team play in the Super Bowl. Now this is
There
like
you go.
before the playoffs even began, I was like, I know they're gonna be in the Super Bowl, I'm gonna be home and watch them. you
You
know.
you called it.
Um, and I got home like 2 days before the Super Bowl,
Crazy.
and then
Wow.
lost.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Man,
but
yeah, that's some crazy stuff right there.
yeah, but like I said, that was a struggle because I remember coming home and like I told my partners, I was like, I don't want to do it. I didn't want to be on set. I couldn't sculpt anything. I couldn't like move my fingers.
Wow.
It took me like 3 months to even think about like get back into it. But I remember like right after that, like it only was like a month in where I was like sitting there and I was talking to my wife and she was like, you've worked really hard on this. You should really, think about doing it. At least if like not doing the effects, but going in and directing it, like you wanted to, because that was going to be my first feature film that I directed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I made the call to the guys, Roland and Chuck. They were like my partners, and I was just like, hey, I want to do it. If you guys want to still do it with me, and they were like, yeah, we were just waiting for you. You know, uh,
Okay.
but the stuff that they did, the whole entire time when I found out, like when I was in the hospital, man, like you couldn't, like Rowan, he lived in an apartment in Manhattan, beautiful apartment, had a job there, um, moved up into our warehouse where there was no heat, while I was sick to make sure that my family was okay, and
Wow,
like helped out my family, while I was like sick. And
good. That's a good
you know,
friend.
yeah, when they told me that, I was just like, man, like I called that was the first guy I called, like when I was able to talk a little bit. And I remember like not being able to talk, but like trying to talk to him and just trying to like thank him, for what he did. And a lot of people helped out, like they stepped up and helped out big time. And like I said, that was like they're the people that like, I stay indebted to, and I was like, man, but like when we were on this set, every film set, I don't care what it is, like people always say like, oh yeah, we're family. And then, you try to get footage from that director 6 months later and he's like, fuck off.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
what happened to that we're family kind of deal.
Right.
Um, this was like the first set I've been on in a long time, and probably in like the last 10 years where there was no drama, no egos. Everybody wanted to be there. Not a lot of people got paid. Um, they were just there because they wanted to make the best film we could.
Yeah.
And
Just passionate about it.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
so
that's what makes a good film too, though.
Hmm. And those are the
yeah,
people you want to surround yourself with anyway. That's how films
yeah,
become better. That's how the stories are told right. People putting in the work, helping each other out, So that's really good to hear.
yeah,
That's a crazy story, man.
That
Wow.
is, yeah.
yeah. No, like I said, when the issues that we dealt with from the time we started up into even like doing post production, we were editing and finding out there was some issues with sound like that. That's when we found out about the stuff with the mine. We're like, oh shit, now we got to try to go back in there and reshoot some stuff.
Hmm.
But I'm glad we did because we actually went in there and we, changed up the ending a little bit. It wasn't too much. Like the fight sequence was, kind of the same. But the deputy's death scene was completely different. We added some more, just a little bit more action to the fight scene, a little bit quicker, more angles to it. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely glad we did that, and I think the film turned out much better because I remember seeing like the first draft of the like from the way we had an editor, and this is like I said, even from when we got the post, like there was issues where we waited like 3 months for like a cut, like anything, and then we finally got in touch with him. We're like, hey, can you send us whatever you got? And what he sent me, it's like, man, this is not good. Like
Hmm.
I wasn't happy with it, and I was like, hey, can you do these changes? And he sent me it back a couple weeks later, and I was just like, man, did we make a bad film? Because this is not good to me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it just seemed like it was put together like really quick, like a lot of dailies were. I was just showing like he was just showing me dailies,
Hmm.
and it was just like, man. So I had a conversation with him, and I was like, hey, you're a good editor. I just don't think this is the project for you. Because he never really that was his first feature film he was just like cutting together.
Yeah.
And then I reached out to my camera guy, and I know he edited it. And I was like, "Hey, you want to edit, and I'll learn how to edit, and I'll help you, and we'll get it done." So I remember like, man, like we were like 2 weeks away from Valentine's Day where we said we were gonna like release it, and we were still editing. you know,
Wow.
um, got it to the music composer. He did such an amazing job with the score,
Yeah. Yeah. It was
uh,
good. It was really good.
and he didn't have much time to do it.
Right. And then you
So
said you had the band in there as well, playing some of those songs, like that ending song and stuff too, right?
yeah, we had a couple of bands. Pocono Posse had a few of the songs in it. They were like the main band for it, and they wrote the end song for it. And then Silent Horror had a song in there, and oh man, they'll kill me if I don't remember the name. Like one of my, oh man, now I feel bad. I
It's
can't
okay.
remember the end
It's okay.
song, like the heavy song.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
fits perfect.
I've got a question. So, like, what got you into the whole Valentine scene? Like, what was it? Was it the cosplay that drew you in that you seen, or have you always loved the film? What was
Uh,
it? Do?
yeah, I've been a fan. I've been a fan of horror since like the '80s. Like, just I grew up in that, and like Savini, like Tom Savini was the man. Like anything he did with special effects was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to
Hell
watch.
yeah,
And I was
Did you
like a
absolutely.
ever
little kid, like 9, 10 years old.
did you ever
And
meet him?
yeah, like I said, I met him at conventions and then I went to his school, you
Yeah,
know.
heck yeah.
So, but yeah, it was like just growing up in the horror, that's what I wanted to do. And then I used to do a haunted house, like, and it got so big that I started like out of my house. I took it out of my house and went like did it for a rec for um like a fundraiser for them. And that put me in contact with the first filmmaker. Um and he, a friend of ours was like, "Hey, I know a guy, he's like working on a horror film. He's looking for, makeup effects guys, and you should hook up with him." So, we met with him and he was like, "Oh yeah, you know what you're doing?" We're like, "Yeah." We didn't know what we were doing. He was like, "Yeah, yeah, we'll go at it." Um, and it was kind of like fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he
yeah. Once
became
the
like one of
once
my
that opportunity arises, you got to take it, man.
yeah, and he became like one of my good friends. And I just remember being on set and was just like, man, like I can get paid to do this. This is awesome.
Right.
Um,
What haunted house did you do?
I did a haunted house in Philly, like right out of my own house. It
Really?
started out like I did it for like 8 years. It started out like really small, and then as you got bigger and bigger, like they're like,
Out of your own place where you live.
yeah, right out of my own house.
Wow. What was
That's
was
cool.
your wife pissed?
No, she was all into it, until like the one year where like things started getting ripped, like things were getting ripped out of the walls and people
Yeah,
were
yeah, yeah.
scared and like breaking through the walls and shit like that.
We
And
we did a haunted house a couple of years. Did you ever do like the uh packing peanuts and you spray them like a neon color and put like black lights on them and shit, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah,
we did
man.
that.
It's a lot of fun. The haunted houses are great. They're a lot of fun to do. That's crazy that you did one out of your house though, because a lot of people do one like they have a barn or like
Or like
somewhere.
leading up to the garage, you put up
No,
Yeah.
this was like it went right in my as soon as you walked in my front door, like right in my living room and then my dining room, and then
Freaking
whoa.
back out, like kind of
dedicated.
horseshoed it. And it, like I said, it got so big where the line was like 3 or 4 blocks long.
Wow.
Wow.
Like, and it was such a cool feeling. It was like fun, that was like
You gonna
uh,
do it again, you think?
well, like I said, I never stopped doing it. I work for like like different haunts and making props and prosthetics for them. Um, the last 2 years has been like really slow with the whole like COVID, and then I've been
Mm.
working on the Valentine Bluffs film, so I turned down like a certain jobs. But
Yeah.
I I do a fundraiser up here, and it's like a trunk or treat, and then they allowed us to do a haunt 2 years ago, and that got pretty big. And now he wants us to do it, and they're like renting out a fire state, like a fire hall,
Oh,
um,
cool.
so we can do it in there this year. So yeah, we still do it. It's like I said, for fun. I don't like make no money off of it. It's just that's like my passion thing. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool
Hell,
passion to have though.
Halloween needs to get back to that because I feel like when I was
Yes.
younger, that was
Yeah.
like all over the neighborhoods, and even if it was just something going up someone's driveway or just the haunts around town, whatever they put on in stores and doing fundraisers and stuff. Now you just don't see it as much, man. You hardly see people trick or treating anymore. It's crazy, man.
We literally have not. We don't have one person come around my block.
Yeah,
We're a bunch of
crazy.
kids.
Yeah.
They
Not
all go
one
those
person.
they all go those fucking churches, man. They like I don't know if it's the same way up there, but they all do the trunk or treats at the churches. So it's
Yeah.
like easier for everybody. And I'm like, man, screw that
Yeah,
shit.
they
Let's
do.
get back to the streets, you know?
Yeah, they even do that. Yeah, when I was a kid, man, it was like go out, and I went late. Like I felt like I was out late. You know what I mean? It was like you'd go out at 8 o'clock. Now it's like over by 8 o'clock, and like
Yeah.
we do.
And
My
if
town,
it's a
my
school night, they don't want to do it, or if it's a whatever.
yeah. Well,
I'm sorry,
and it's
John. Go
like
ahead.
it's like people don't want their kids going to people's houses, which I get. But here's the funny thing: is they're promoting the trunk or treat thing, and it's like, weren't we always told not to go to someone's car and take fucking candy out of the trunk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, what about that kid who it's like November 15th and some guy's like, "Hey, you want some candy out of the back?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I just did this like half a month ago. Let's do it." Like it's
Yeah.
it's so weird. It's like we're switching. It's like, no, you shouldn't go to people's houses, but let's go to their cars. Let's go to strangers'
Yeah.
cars.
Like I said, it definitely has changed, man. It's so. And I wish, like I always tell like my kids, I wish like trick or treating, like Halloween was like when we were young. It
Yeah.
was like you said, we used to like go out hours, different neighborhoods,
Yeah. And you'd fill
go
up a
out.
fucking pillow sack, like
Yeah,
crazy
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. My parents didn't even walk around with us. Like looking back at it, like now I would not let my kids go, period, without us. But like they would, we would all hop in, just a car or something like that, and we'd go up to a certain block, and they'd be like, "All right, meet us back here," and we'd walk that block all the way up and back down to the van or car or whatever we were in. So
Yeah.
like that was the way it was. But now it's like not. I mean, I don't know. It's
It's
just
It's
yeah,
not.
so.
I'm sure some places in the country are like pretty hardcore still, but like you just
I don't
it's
know,
just
man.
it's just not the same, dude.
Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
even when we were in Philly and we were doing the haunt, and then we moved out of Philly and we came up here, and I'm like 2 hours, 2.5 hours away from Philly, and it was so bad, like it was so dead around here. We actually went and took a 2.5 hour trip to go to Philly in my old neighborhood to go trick or treating, and it was
Wow.
dead. It was like that. I was like,
Wow.
oh wow, like that was like a wasted trip, and it was like
Yeah.
it just died. Like I was like, man, I feel like like they're trying to take away Halloween.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a weird thing, man. And it does
I,
suck when it's usually on a weekday, right? Like it's hardly ever on the weekend, which sucks. But I feel like that didn't matter, man. It was just like
it didn't. It did not matter at all
you
back
just
then.
went out, your parents just let you stay out late, you just had your fun, you got home, you checked the candy, go figure.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, now we have a brand called Check the Candy, so ironic, but it's just I wish that shit was still alive, and I'm trying to like my son's still, he's only 2.5 years old, so he's not quite trick or treating yet. He's a little bit here and there, but like, I just want to bring that shit back, dude.
My
And I feel
my
like the
kids
only way to do it is do the haunts and do the haunted house and do
my
it up big.
my kids are trick or treat appropriate right now. Like that, they're like they're perfect to go doing it. And so this past year, man, I was like, we're not going to a church. We're not going anywhere that has a trunk or treat. Like, I'm sorry, we're not doing that. That's not Halloween to me. So we hit the streets, and there was one. All the neighborhoods that used to be decent, like you said, they're not. They're not anymore. You have a few of them here and there, but everybody's lights turned off.
Yeah.
You always knew when their light was turned on, you were good to go. And there was just, I mean, just packed, man. It's crazy. But this past year, I did find a neighborhood, and it really brought me back. Like it really, really did. I mean, it was so packed that you were bumping into like shoulder to shoulder with people, and everybody was walking. There's no cars. Like kids were running everywhere, up and up to there, and running back down. Everybody's dressed up. You got big dinosaurs running around. Like it was the best time ever, and like my kids absolutely loved it. Like it was like that was strange to see that, and I guess it was after this COVID shit that's happened, it's kind of letting loose a little bit now. So like last year was a little bit better, so I'm hoping this coming year is just going to be absolutely mind blowing. Like that was so much fun for my kids, and I want to teach them like this is what Halloween is. I want
Yeah.
you to take your kids to do this stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We were pretty fortunate like that. We found like a 3 block radius that they went out and they decorated. They made sure every house on that 3 block,
Yeah,
street was all Halloweened out, and so we took my kids there for like 10 years, until like even like my one daughter was 21, we were out there trick or treating,
Yeah. Hell yeah.
like, with my younger son, and but like I said, we're pretty cool. Like we do my daughter's birthday is in October, so we always have like a Halloween party for her,
Hell yeah.
that's
and
cool.
we do a haunt in the house, for the
That's cool.
like while they're partying downstairs, we're upstairs like decorating for the haunt, and we did it. We do all kinds of different things. We did the one year was really fun. We did a murder mystery,
Oh,
and
sick.
we put like a key in each room, and each room had a theme, and every room had a character in it where we scared them, but you had to find the key, and then that key opened up the lock because we locked all the doors, and that key unlocked the door to the next door where they had to go and find a clue where the next key is, and then they found that key and they had to unlock the next door, and then we made it to where this is where like the stupidity comes in. We made it where the hallway lock was the last lock, but we didn't have a key for that, so you were stuck up in there in this last
Oh,
this
that's
room
funny.
where we scared the hell out of everyone.
Ugh.
Um,
So it's kind of like an escape room almost too, right?
Yeah, it was like an escape room thing, but you can't really get out.
Yeah, the
That's
last one,
funny.
you're like, nah.
You know what? You in those haunted houses and stuff, man. You pull that fucking chainsaw and everybody flips out. Like,
Yeah, I do it here.
dude,
Yeah.
chainsaws, it's crazy to me. Like up in Gatlinburg, man, there's a haunted like stationary place, like that's year round just a haunted house. And they have this one chainsaw guy and he's at the end every time. But anytime I take anybody new in there that hasn't done it, that chainsaw rips, man. That's it. They're done, man. They're
Yeah.
running. They're booking it to whichever room. So chainsaws are a lot of fun. And for some reason,
Well, I think so what we were talking about with the movie, I think it has a lot to do with sound. Horror and sound, there's something's missing if you don't have it really. I think it's either loud sound or lack thereof can be scary as well.
yeah.
But I think it has a lot to do with that. You hear that thing rev and like all of a sudden, everybody knows Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Everybody knows
Yeah,
that it's dangerous, you know what I mean? So I think it's just part of that. I think it's just subconsciously in everybody's brain that it's danger. Get the hell out of there. Everywhere you go, hayride, haunted hayrides like are not a thing anymore.
No, they're not. I forgot about that too.
Fucking loved those, man. Fuck.
yeah. So we did we did a hayride where we lived in this industrial park and they had a hay thing and we were like, hey, can we do that? Because they were doing like their own little trick or treat thing in there, but not there was not too many people in there did it. And we were like, hey, can we do the hayride thing? And they were like, yeah. So we set it all up and we planned it. So there were like one trip, and then you would have to like wait for everybody to get off. So we only had one hayride, but you'd had to wait to get around. And we planned it where we had two little girls. One was my daughter and our buddy's friend's daughter, and they were like friends. And we dressed them up the same way, and we would have one of the actors pull them off the the whole like cart
Oh
and pull them
shit.
into the woods, and people were flipping out thinking it was real.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
And someone was like, "Call the cops," and we're like, "No, no, no, don't call the cops. Like, not even real."
People are like,
And
this isn't
like,
funny, man. It's not supposed to be
yeah, like
funny,
people
dude.
thought we were like this little girl was
Kidnapping.
getting kidnapped off the cart.
That's fun, dude. Yeah, like I know exactly what you're talking about. My dad used to do that. Like my dad did the haunted houses, he did the hay rides and stuff, and he would always put a stunt or whoever the person
Like an
was, like the
actor, yeah.
actor, yeah. And man, it was always like that perfect person who would just scream,
Yeah,
scream so loud and just kick and flay, like flay or whatever it is, all over the place and just get dragged off. It was perfect. Yeah, I know
We
what you're talking
we
about.
we had one, and this one was fucking terrifying. I live in Maine, so like we have a lot of camp roads and shit like that, a lot of woods, right? So there was this one that would go through the woods, and you had the dudes with the chainsaws, and they had this one part because it was never like, once I got older and I was like in high school, it wasn't like scary to me, but it was fun, right?
mhm.
And I went
You
on this
wanted to be a
one,
part of it.
yeah, and there was this one where these dudes jumped, there was like four dudes with chainsaws, and they like stood behind, they like all walked out onto the road, and you're like on a wood trail, like in the middle of the woods, like so it's like not even in a field or anything, like you're in the woods, man. And these dudes walk out and they all have chainsaws. They all rev them at the same time, right? Like get them going. Then they start running and they're revving them and revving them and revving them. And what you don't notice because you're paying attention to them is there's a fucking 18-wheeler logging truck in the woods, and it's on a side trail with its lights off. But because they planned it perfectly, where because of the revving of the chainsaws, you can't hear the engine of the truck.
Mm.
And so it's literally coming at you. And then like I noticed there's like a big log in the middle of the road so the driver knows where to stop. But all of a sudden he fucking turns the high beams on the truck, and he lays on the horn, and all of a sudden you look over and there's just this massive
Wow.
18-wheeler coming at you.
Just picture
And
that.
it had like a face painted on the grill, you know what I mean? But all of a sudden it would just stop, like, probably maybe 10 feet in front of, like, on the side of the fucking hayride. You're like, oh, people freaked out. People were jumping off and shit. Guys
Well,
on the
dude,
chainsaws are like, no, get back on. What are you doing?
That's
nobody can handle that shit anymore. Like everybody's so triggered nowadays, like
Yeah.
that right there would cause like a huge thing. So like
Yeah.
that's good times right there. That right there is truly terrifying. That's awesome.
And then we obviously
yeah.
had Stephen King up here who did his own haunted house where you got like, you basically, it was a lot of money to go, but you got paid if you got through it. and
Really?
shit like that. Oh yeah, yeah, he did a huge one, dude, up in Bangor. And
Did
you
you
know, there's
go?
like no, no, he stopped it probably like late 90s.
Oh,
Oh,
Like,
wow.
and you had to be like a certain age to go. It wasn't like a fucking like my cousin went and they like it was one of those ones where you pay and like the extreme ones now where you like sign a waiver and like all this shit. And,
Yeah.
it was kind of like that, but like not as hardcore, obviously. But
Yeah. And that one everybody keeps talking about, like, that's bullshit because there's like, if you make it through, you get like $10,000 and
yeah,
like
yeah,
torture
yeah.
you for real. And I heard like people actually got through it and then they like made it to where they didn't get paid.
yeah.
What?
I'm sure there was some stipulation. They're like, oh well,
Yeah.
those ones are like just they're not like I mean, I'm sure they're scary because it's like, but like they're allowed to like do some shit that just doesn't seem. They're like
Yeah.
puking on people and
I don't
like
think I can get through that. Like I'd be killing
it's
someone.
yeah. Well, it's also like I'm not. That's not like scary to me. It's just fucking
It's
sounds
Oh,
painful and gross. Like some guys puking on you and like you have to
I hate
sign
yeah.
all this shit and you go. They do like a background check to make sure you're not like fucking psycho, you know.
I hate
But
spit.
that's a
Spit's spit's
that's a little
gross.
too much. That's just like really gross and like I don't know. That doesn't that's not a very creative way to scare someone. You know, that's like legit being like, okay, we're gonna put this person through mental hell instead of being like, oh, it's come. I think it's better when you can be like, hey, you can't touch him, you can't do anything to him, but you still got to try to scare him. If you can get a scare that way, the old
You're
school
doing
way,
you're
that's
doing it
way
right.
more, dude. That's when someone leaves, goes, that was fucking fun. Let's do it again. No one goes through and
Yeah.
gets fucking puked on, and they're like, oh yeah, let's fucking go. You know, like
Yeah, let's do that
I
again.
want to do it
yeah,
again. Yeah.
But yeah.
Either way.
that was a cool
But yeah,
talk. Shit.
Yeah,
so
we hadn't talked about haunted houses much or
Yeah, that
anything
was
like that.
fun.
It's fun.
oh yeah, I loved it. And like I said, we just do it. It's like my passion thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and it
I
makes
don't
for
do it out.
for you making movies and stuff. It's just kind of like that next level of you're kind of like doing the haunted house thing, but shooting it. You know.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's how I really got into the whole like film thing. And I don't even know if I finished up that story where I was just like met up with this guy and he was like, "Hey, can you do effects?" We were like, "Yeah, yeah, we can do it." And kind of learned it while we were doing it. And we finished the film and I just remember being on that set and I was like, "Man, I want to go to school for this. This would be
Mm.
cool." Like, just to do special effects and makeup. And it took me like a little bit of time where I uh I worked for the city, like driving buses for the city. And I was just like, man, I'm gonna just save up money so I can go to school and not to work, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah, and do
that's
what
what
you
I did.
love too. I mean, even if you're not making as much money, if you're doing what you love, man, that's truly being rich right there. You know,
Yeah.
So
even what
is
you're
this
doing, like you're doing a fan film and you're doing your effect stuff, I know you make money off that, but like doing the fan film like must have been such a awesome
Uh,
accomplishment for you, and just
yeah.
like feeding that passion, you know what I mean? Feeding that monster within where you can be like, you know what, that satisfied me. That craving to create something like that, you know?
yeah, it was really fun. And like I said, it was just it was just stressful, because you can't profit off of it. And that's
Right.
so you're dedicating like 2, 3, like I put 3 years of my life into that film
Yeah.
and didn't make a penny off of it. We put money into it. Like we had a campaign and it was successful. But a lot of people were thinking like a lot of people always ask me like, "Oh man, you had $50,000." Did it? I think we raised in two campaigns. It was like 52,000, and then people were like, "Oh wow, you made that film for 52,000," and we're like, "No, we don't even
Yeah.
get
No.
near that money." Um,
No, that's a
y-
lot of like you said, the Airbnbs paying for
well,
shit like that.
right off the bat, like Indiegogo takes their fees,
Yep.
and then they get like a 3% processing fee for every perk, and then you
Yeah.
got to make the props, make the perks, and then ship them. Like shipping was so expensive. We're still shipping stuff out.
Yeah.
Um, all that costs, money. I think when it was all came down, like we were just basically going over the receipts and getting them done for the tax time. We made the film for pretty much between like 33 and 36,000.
Yeah.
On,
So
on a tight schedule. We shot it in 9 days. Well, 9 days we made it, and then we had that extra day going into the mine, so 10 days.
Yeah. Yeah. I
so
think that was
so
the same thing with the Sawyer massacre was 9 days,
yeah.
right, Taylor?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it was it 9 or I thought it was 7.
7 or 9 days, something like that. Yeah, it was
Oh,
quick.
yeah, it was quick.
no, theirs was 9. I'm friends with Steve.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So like the Blu-rays, because Horace Stevie, we just had him on. He was talking about he got a Blu-ray and all that stuff. Do you have those? Are you gonna make any money off that?
Oh no,
No, they're
we ordered just enough money for the backers, and we are going to order more to get like try to sell them and recoup the money that we put into the
okay.
film.
Right.
Like I said, everything was all done with taxes and every penny was accounted for on that film. That was like the hardest thing. Running the campaign, I remember because none of us knew how to do it, and we basically reached out to a lot of people who we seen doing it, and we're just like, hey, can you give us some pointers? And we reached out to Vincent at one
Mhm.
time, and Dave Kerr. Um, we reached out to him, and then we met Steve throughout that whole process too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so we were going back and forth, and it was like just find out what worked and what didn't work, and it took us like 7 months to put that campaign together. Corey Kaufman was our graphic designer. I think he did an amazing job making it look professional.
Yeah.
Um, and we put it together, and it was like even up until like the day we launched it, I was so nervous about it because like, man, what if you don't do good? Because I worked on two films that had Indiegogo campaigns, and I wasn't a part of it. I didn't like run the campaigners. I was just doing special effects for the films. And the one where I thought was going to be a legit one, it was going to work, and they had an original idea. It was a lot different from everything else that was out there. I was like, man, this is going to work, and they didn't raise nothing. Like it was such a
Yeah.
fail.
Really.
And the one that I didn't think it was going to work because I was like, man, they're doing it for like a silent film, and it's not my cup of tea, so, kind of deal like that. I was like, okay.
Mhm.
That was actually it wasn't like a successful, but they raised the money that they were looking for, and then it just like kind of died down and stopped. Um,
And
but that
is that something you have to hit the goal to get the money?
there's two ways you can do it. It's like you can pay to Indiegogo or Kickstarter. You can pay them less if you sign it up for that way, where you have to hit that goal or you get nothing,
Hmm.
or you can pay them more and get whatever you make.
Okay.
You know, but they still take that percentage out off of it.
Right.
So with the Blu-rays that you're ordering, is that coming anytime soon?
Yeah, we had the Blu-rays.
So the ones that you're gonna order though to sell for like you guys though, correct?
Yeah,
Is
yeah, we got them.
Oh,
okay.
nice.
So let's help you. Let anybody who's gonna watch this right here. Is there a way to purchase them?
Yeah, we're working right now on a way because our main concern right now is just trying to get all the perks
Right.
fulfilled.
Hmm.
Uh,
Definitely.
we're like halfway there with the Blu-rays and the bundles and stuff like that, and all the DVDs I think are out. Um, once we do that, I think we're good. But we were just talking the other night about how to take in like pre-orders or something, like through PayPal or something, or anything like that, just because we don't have the campaign up no more. So um,
Well, I'll be your first PayPal. I'll
Yeah,
buy
I'll
one.
buy one too. And let us know, DM us or something whenever you do, release it and say, hey, we're gonna sell these and we'll make sure we let people know.
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll post the hell out of it. Just to get you guys out there more. You guys are out there enough already, but more.
yeah, like I said, we I think tonight was I just posted a thing on Instagram tonight and Facebook where we hit 20,000 views, which is I thought was a lot. Like I said, that was like a thing. My goal was to hit 50,000 views in a year.
Hmm.
We knew we weren't going to like hit like these 100,000 like Friday the 13th or Scream or the Texas
Yeah,
Chainsaw Massacre fan film because they have like a much bigger name. Um,
definitely. As far as
My
yeah,
Bloody
with
Valentine's
fan
is like a
followings
small
and
cult following.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I was surprised that, like, man, trust me, I was really shocked to see the campaign be successful.
Well,
Um,
I'll tell you one thing. Like I've been waiting for this forever to come out, and like you, I don't know how any of that stuff works. I don't know how. I don't know how to go about going on there. Like it's all confusing to me the way it's laid out. Um,
Puts a lot more pressure on too. I feel like making a fan films. You not only do you have to make the movie, but you have to fulfill all these these these
Yeah.
perks, and you have this whole other fan base that you have to like worry about as well. Like that's a lot, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there was so much pressure. Like, like I always like say like I want to make a film that I want to watch.
Right.
But now like you have people giving you money. Now you want to make a film that they're going to enjoy. It's like you don't want to let them down. Um, and yeah, we like I said, we didn't know how to do this campaign stuff. We were kind of like learning while we were having issues with the campaign like the day we launched it. You know, we kept getting flagged from Indiegogo like
Huh.
For what?
because we were selling props, like it would say like a knife prop or like we said knife weapon or weapon,
Oh
and
yeah.
they would take it down. They would give back, like they would make us refund the people who bought that perk and change it up, send them pictures of like showing them like that we changed it
Yeah.
and worded it and then put it back up there, and then people would have to buy it again if they wanted to.
Wow.
You're not giving them a real knife or something.
Yeah, it was we had to send them a video of like me bending this prop knife, and it's like, come on,
Crazy.
man. And we couldn't use the word knife or weapon or something like that. It was like prop.
Yeah.
Gotta say prop and
Yeah, it was crazy. So like, it was a learning experience, and it was just we learned. I remember the one of the people that we reached out to. We were like, "Hey, do you have any advice about the campaign?" And he was like, "If you don't have to do it, don't do it." And I was
yeah,
like, "Really?" And he was just like, "Man, it's so stressful." And
yeah,
then we
Wow.
learned really quick what he was talking about. It's like it was like a day, it was like a full-time job just running the campaign.
yeah.
And now like putting out the perks, it's like, I try to get like a bundle of like 40 or 50, packages together and go to the post office, and then we sit in the post office for 2 hours shipping them.
Wow.
And it's like, oh
That's
man.
annoying.
Yeah. And I try to do like, twice a week, at least once a week, we get out there, but try to do it twice a week. So,
Well, at
and
least everybody here knows that you're trying. You're doing it.
oh yeah, like, we're getting them out there. It's just taking time.
Yeah, I think Steve too is still sending shit out, didn't he say? I think he's still got
Yeah.
like yeah, he's got like masks he's still sending out and shit. And
Yeah.
that takes a
Definitely.
lot, man. It adds a whole nother aspect to making a movie, dude. It's something you didn't think you have to worry about, and then all of a sudden
Nah.
it's kind of like the main priority.
Yeah, he got he. I mean, I remember him telling me that he lost his effects team like 2 weeks before shooting or something. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, he told us that she like bailed
"You're making a
immediately. She
horror
bailed.
film. That's the worst department you want to lose."
Uh,
Um, I was just like, "Man, that kind of sucks." So I even shipped him out some props, to put in his movie.
oh
Uh,
really?
yeah, it's the you notice in the one scene in the room where the skinned arm and the face with the
Yep.
eyeball,
Mm-hmm.
that was a prop that I sent him.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Hell yeah. I know he said he had mentioned that. I don't know if it was one of his someone on set had like lost a tooth and they used the tooth in the movie. They're like,
Oh,
yeah, keep
oh,
she's like, I
a
kept the
real
tooth and we
tooth?
can put it in. Yeah. So like there's a scene where you see a tooth and like some hair and it's like a real tooth.
He didn't tell me that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Did you guys do any mask? Did you do any replica mask or anything like that? Did you make any of those? Did you?
Well,
Did you do
yeah,
it?
Chuck makes his like the miner's mask.
Yeah.
I know we sold like three of them.
Really? Does he make them?
Yeah, he makes them. He customizes them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I can see
Yeah.
Taylor's mind working.
Yeah, I was about to
He's
say
gonna I
I
need
need
to
to talk
hit
to
him up.
Chuck.
He's gonna hit him up. He's gonna be like, yo, can
Yeah,
you make me one of those?
hit him up. He does. Dude, he makes like
Then have him sign it.
his
Oh yeah.
masks are awesome. The pickaxes are spot on, and that was the cool thing. Like everything was spot on to the '81 movie. The knife that we used, I actually had one right here. Like Axel's knife.
Oh yeah.
Oh
That's
Fuck
yeah.
yeah.
the same exact knife that he uses at the
Wow,
end of the
that looks
movie.
so good too.
It does look so good. Wow.
Yeah, and this is molded and made by Ryan Schaefer from Ars. He did that, and there's the other one that he did for us, the mini pickaxe.
Oh
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
Dude, those are cool. Are they heavy? What are they made out of?
This is like resin,
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
and then this is my last one I'm shipping out tomorrow. But I sculpted this. This is the first thing that I sculpted coming back from that whole like COVID thing. Where I was
Uh-huh.
trying to learn how to sculpt again, but
Oh
the
fuck yeah.
Oh, dude,
the
that's
minor bust,
beautiful.
That's so cool.
like all the detail in the back.
Dude, that's
The
sexy.
lighting in here
Yeah.
sucks. So
That's
And I can
awesome.
tell just from looking at it right there, it's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, it's so good.
What did you mold? Is that like clay?
yeah, I sculpt everything in clay and then mold it, and I cast that. That's pretty heavy actually. But that's like a solid resin piece. Um,
That's
That's
cool,
awesome.
dude.
we
Do
had
you
them
so
up for perk.
so would you make another one for somebody if they wanted it?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm actually gonna remold. I have a master where I'm gonna remold it, and my wife makes candles.
Yeah.
We're actually gonna turn that into a candle.
Oh, that'd be
Oh,
sick.
yeah. I would never light it, but yeah.
Yeah,
100
That's awesome,
100%.
though.
yeah,
Just make sure you charge out the ass for shipping.
Shipping.
yeah. Shipping, like I said, man, shipping's been crazy. Like
I
not hurting us, but it's just been like wow. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
it blows your mind.
it's crazy what like shipping a different country really is because I ship some to Australia and then I think the UK and Canada. Canada's the cheapest,
yeah,
but
Still
um
expensive though. Like I paid. We're having Whiskey Morgue come on next weekend, I think, right, Taylor?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, a guy, he runs a company called Whiskey Morgue, and he does like whiskey and horror pairings and stuff. And
He does he's with Rue TV, I believe.
yeah, and
definitely.
so we're having him on. But I just bought one of his shirts because I'm a big bourbon guy, and he's in Canada, and so I basically paid for the shirt. You know, I paid like 25 bucks for the shirt, not bad. But then I paid 25 bucks for shipping. So, I
Yeah,
pay about $50 for the shirt, basically. Totally worth it because it's an awesome shirt. It's good quality, and he does awesome shit. But
cool.
crazy how much it is, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shipping sucks.
Shipping
Taylor,
the US was really simple. It's like,
yeah, that's easy.
$6 for a Blu-ray DVD or whatever.
Yeah,
Pretty
Yeah,
much what we charge.
you could ship everything media mail, it's like three to $4, tops.
yeah,
Yeah. Canada was not that bad. It's just like Ireland and Australia, we shipped to them, and it's like, wow, it's so crazy.
yeah.
We had a few in Germany.
Ooh,
Anywhere in the UK, I know we shipped out packages like a month ago to people in the UK, and it's still not delivered. And we get,
crazy.
Yeah, because it has to go through
like,
customs.
yeah,
Like they have to sit there and search that shit for something. I don't know.
I got a message from someone. He's like, hey, they're saying my package was shipped, but I never got it. And I'm like, contact your customs because that's where it's sitting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, yeah. No, I just recently shipped out three different things to I think it was two different countries, and I think it was like $120. It was like crazy expensive, and but no, back to the UK thing. I had a guy that just really cool guy, really 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 nice person. We ended up trading, and I didn't realize that he was overseas. He's in the UK, and man, it took forever. He was just like, "I'll pay for shipping." I didn't realize. I like like I need to message him now and be like, "Yo, let me pay you back. Like this
Yeah,
is bullshit, Like
uh,
you shouldn't have done this."
but no, that's cool. Yeah. So I mean, hopefully we'll be done this soon, and I know we're getting ready to like, we're in pre-production to start the new project. So
Oh, hell
I'm
yeah.
looking forward to that.
Any details on it, or are you keeping it close to the chest right now?
Yeah, no. So um, it's going to be called the Sick and Twisted Tales, and it's like an anthology, like Creepshow, Twilight
Oh,
deal.
fuck yes.
Going to be 3 or 4 short films put in together, like tie into a feature.
I
That's
like
Uh,
that.
awesome.
yeah, and all like original characters. So this is going to be like, and we were actually talking about like bringing in different directors that we met throughout this whole like entire process of like directing a short, and like
Good
Steve
idea.
Merlo, we were talking to him about one. We were talking to Peter Anthony about doing one from he did Roseblood.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, we were yeah, just just reaching out to people and seeing what they their thoughts were, and I know we're, like I said, we're in pre-production of that. We're like scouting locations for it,
Mhm.
and I know we just I just talked to Steve Merlo and signed on to his project for his new one, Unseen.
Unseen. Yeah, we talked to him
Yeah.
about that a little bit. That sounds like
Yeah,
a cool one, man. Like a kind of a not Halloween. No, what do you say? Black Christmas, right? It's kind of got a
Yeah.
Black Christmas and
Yeah,
That style
I
where you
just read
don't.
the script. I just read the script last night, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, he
So
says you don't see the killer a lot, which is cool. It's got that John Carpenter feel
yeah,
to it.
yeah, and he's. I mean, I know he's going to be doing a campaign for it, and I hope that he it's successful because he's bringing in a pretty good cast.
Yeah,
I
The
seen that. Yeah.
yeah the actors, and I'm looking forward to working with them. My
Well,
partner,
good.
he was casted in the film,
awesome.
Really.
Good
so
stuff. Well, we're hitting about, I think we're a little over an hour now. Taylor, show him that VHS real quick, and then we'll wrap this up.
yeah,
This is the Sawyer Massacre front and back, and then oh, it's this Z tape, but
Pretty
it's
awesome.
on there. But I'll tell you what, Tapeworm is absolutely amazing, and I wouldn't want to work honestly with anybody else. There's a few other, but he is one of the better ones that I've seen. So
really, that got
yeah.
me excited then because I was like, man, I'm still like mind boggled that like, how do you put something that was digital onto a VHS? Like that's
Oh,
crazy.
it's super simple. I don't know how to put anything that was from VHS to digital like that. Like that, everybody's like, can you put this old clip that I have of my family to a DVD for me? I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Like
that's
I
a
don't know
totally
how
different. That's a totally different
I
process.
don't know how to do that at all.
That's like reverse
Um,
engineering.
but yeah,
Yeah,
putting tape or DVD or whatever to tape is super simple, but it's the artwork that matters. It's not. It's what people look at. They want to display this on their shelf.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
for collectors, really.
Yeah,
yeah,
and 100% you did very well going with Tapeworm. Like he's a super cool guy. Very
yeah.
very very nice work. I mean, just incredible work. Like I've messaged him quite a bit. We've talked quite a bit, and I'm just like, yo, what what do you do? How do you do this? Like this is insane. So good job.
No, yeah, it's cool, and like I said, I'm glad because, and he's very like he was real like we have so many people working on different perks and stuff, and some people are much more like difficult to talk to than others. Um, but uh, he's very like responsive. Like
Mhm.
you write him an email, he gets right back to you, answers all your questions. Super easy to work with, and
Yeah.
so that was like my only experience with him. Like I didn't know him. Like again, Chuck Ryan hooked up, got the deal with him.
So
I guess
this Chuck Ryan guy, man, like, should we talk to Chuck Ryan? You think he would come on the podcast?
absolutely. I was actually going to see because we've done a lot of podcasts together. Um, yeah, but reach out to him. Like it was so weird, man. Because again, it was like I didn't know this guy. Reached out to him, and he was going to be the minor, and he's never worked on a film before at all. And he was just doing like he was like, "Oh, dude, you want me to contact this person? You want me to get this person?" And we're like, "Man, like you're doing what producers do. You should come on as
Yeah.
a producer." And man, I can't even tell you when you ask him to do something, he goes way beyond and gets something much bigger than what you asked for. Um,
Cool.
so he like I said, you work with so many people in the industry. Some people ain't fun to work with. Some people are really cool to work with. You just got to like get to know the people you're working with. Like some people you can talk to a certain way, you can joke
Yeah.
around. Some people are just much more serious, much more like it's the way it's got to be, and that's it. And I get
Much more business.
yeah, and it's like okay, and but like again, man, this again this like term is so overused. But this is like a family. Like these
Mhm.
guys are my brothers now, and they went through a lot with me. We all went through a lot making this film. Um, but like dealing with the whole like COVID issue, that was big for me. Like I have friends that never would step up like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and these guys, I didn't even know this guy. I basically my communication with him was a year and a half over a phone.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot of phone conversations. Like, and I would write the script and be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And he would give me suggestions, and I would put it in there. Um, so yeah, man, he was cool guy, very nice guy. Reach out to him. I'm like, I'll even give him a call tonight and be like, "Hey, they want you on to go on this podcast, you know.
Yeah, give him
Yeah,
put it in in his ear at least, man, and
definitely.
I'm sure we'll hit him up
You
too.
know,
But
I'm not 100% sure if is his name Chuck Ryan
Yeah,
on Instagram.
yeah. On Instagram, I think it's like Chuck Ryan cosplay. On Facebook, it's Chuck Ryan. Um, but yeah, he's a professional cosplayer. You know, all his stuff is so detailed. He does a lot of cool things, but like the miner was really like my favorite, and
Gotcha. I don't follow him, but I am following him right now.
yeah, he's a good guy, man, and he's so like again, man, like the struggles for this film was so crazy. Like we were premiering it, and his flight got canceled,
oh wow, that sucks.
and you know then he had to like get it rescheduled, and that got delayed. And then we were like starting the movie. He actually got got from Wisconsin to Wilkes-Barre, got an Uber, drove like an hour to the premiere, and we were like in the middle of like showing it, and then like as soon as like they went into the mine, that's when he arrived at the premiere.
Oh wow,
So he
Wow.
almost like missed his movie premiere, you know, and I was like, it wouldn't have been the same without him, you know, because like he was
right,
such a huge part of like making this film. Um,
absolutely.
but
So
yeah,
him and who else was a part like during the whole COVID thing with you? There's another guy, right?
Roland Keller, he's my my film partner now, my producer and um filmmaker, you know, actor.
So
Uh,
they're like family now. Yeah, I feel like John and I would be that way. If like one of us got sick, you know, we'd be there. We've never met, you know. It's just it's all over phone and video, you know. It's just how it
Yeah,
is.
he's in Tennessee. I'm in Maine. We just randomly found each other on Instagram and decided to. We talked a
Fell in
little bit.
love. You know, it's love at first sight.
cool. That's cool. Yeah, like I said, this whole crew, like I said, like Darren, my effects partner, you know, I've had effects partners before that don't like turn out, and he's like they don't really do it, and you know he's there, and you know you know it's so weird because like he's always like, man, you're so like past everybody. I'm like, no, dude, I learned from you, you know, like
Yeah,
we learn off each other, you know. Just because I went to school for it don't mean I know everything, you know. I'm
right.
always
Yeah.
learning, and yeah, he was a big part of it, and then like he's still like working with the AD, like Liz. That was kind of like the first time I ever worked with an AD, and I've worked with ADs before, but I never had one.
Hmm.
um, and I know like they're always like the most hated people on set because they're the ones that are like keeping it going, like, hey, we got to go, we got to do this, we got to do this, and move it.
Right.
Um, and I know from experience, just like they're not fun people to work with, most of them. And it's like they're doing their job, you know, I get it.
Yeah.
But some of them do it in a way where they're cool about it. Um, Liz, our AD, she was amazing. You know, she did it in such a fun way where you love this girl. You know, she was so good at what she did, and without her, we wouldn't have been able to shot that movie in 9 days. You know,
Yeah. Just
Good.
the fact, obviously, she did her, her part. If you get it done that quick, you know what I mean?
yeah, she was a big part of scheduling and keeping it going. Um,
Mhm.
and you know, our camera guy, he likes to shoot and shoot and shoot. So he's always like, "Wow, we just keep shooting." She's like, "No, can't do it." Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so yeah, and even John, like he was this is the first time the first time he was like working with me as our camera guy. He came on, you know, him stepping up to edit it, and it was huge, you know. So a lot of people stepped up and didn't like they wore a lot of hats. You know, everybody was wearing so many different hats. Like, you know, you know, people were like, "Oh yeah, you made this awesome film," and I'm like, "No, we made this awesome film," or you know,
Right.
whatever, liked it. Um, I've had a couple of people tell me it sucked. It's funny,
It happens, dude.
but um, yeah, but it's like this is a true team film, you know, with like a lot of people put a lot of hard work into it, and
A lot of love.
yeah, it's like I'm so appreciative of like working with them, and I'm looking forward to working with them in the future. You know, like this
Good.
is
Yeah.
a good team. You know, I'm looking
Well,
forward to the project.
yes.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. And you know what? You sound like a great person to work for too, man, just by the way you're speaking about your team, and I'm sure, I'm sure they feel the same way about you. So that's great, man. And I really appreciate you. We got to get going here.
Yeah,
I really appreciate you coming on, man. We both do.
Let's do this real quick. So let's go over some of the not go over, but just name some of the films that you've done in the past that you might want somebody to watch. Are they on YouTube or anything like that?
No, I mean, well, my short Hunting for Justice is on our YouTube page.
Okay.
Um, I've done so many films, other films that I'd rather not promote because I don't like talk to the people because they screwed me over.
Right.
Okay.
Like I worked on this film, did special effects for him for 5 years. I was the only one that stuck with the director, and they gave credit to someone else for doing special effects. It was some
Wow.
of my work that I'd like really liked. It was
Yeah.
it was just a gore fest.
Yeah.
A lot of people called it torture porn.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Not a great movie. It's just I got to show off some really cool practical effects.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, but I
So,
just don't. I don't like to
so
promote their stuff.
well, I wouldn't either. 100%, I wouldn't do that. So you have Hunting for Justice, right?
Yeah, Hunt for Justice is my first short. I did like some other shorts like that are on there, like Christmas short. Like I don't even have access to that and stuff anime because
Was it like Sleigh Bells? Is that what it was?
I did a film called Sleigh Bells. um, we didn't release it. It wasn't good.
Okay.
So, I'm very like open to saying like what's good and what isn't. I'm not like, oh, this
Mhm.
this is great because I did it. Like
Yeah.
Right.
no, it wasn't good, so we didn't release it. It was just like it was my first time like turn on like directing and stuff like that. It was like, the acting was good, sound was kind of off, lighting was kind of off. We did like a lot of shots we didn't get that we wanted, and just like I said, it was a rushed project, and I'd like to remake that film. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
It was like a dark comedy.
Okay.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that'd be fun to film a dark comedy.
yeah, it was pretty funny. And
So basically it's Hunting for Justice, Valentine
yeah,
Bluffs are the ones you really like to promote.
yeah, and like I said, Unseen will be working on that
Yep.
film.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
awesome.
this fall.
So as far as Blu-rays go, if somebody watches this and they hit you up, can they buy one?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, we're gonna work that out like probably by this week. Um, just hit us up and on Instagram. Let me know what you want.
I'll tell you
Um,
what, you've got two already. We'll go ahead
Yep.
and buy one.
And
So
I'll clip this and put it on the Instagram too. So we'll have that going.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, we're it's just a matter of like trying to figure out like hooking it up to a PayPal or something,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And doing it
And
that way.
and we'll also state that shipping sucks dick. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to pay for shipping. Just know that.
you're gonna have to pay for shipping.
Yeah, and that's like it's just crazy. It's like, man, it was just so you in the US is not bad, but
No, yeah.
outside it's crazy. I don't think I'd ever ship to international stuff. Like you guys can't see our movie on Blu-ray.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry.
uh,
Gonna have to watch it
we-
online.
it was a lot of supporters on the film. Like I said, like again, it was surprising like that we hit 20,000 views. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
I
that's
wasn't
really
expecting
good. That's
know.
really good.
I don't think that's surprising though, because honestly, I waited for a while for this, like I really did, and I loved it. Did a great job.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys. Let's wrap it up. Like I said, appreciate you joining us. And we'll promote all this to hell. We'll get more than 20,000 views on there. Let's keep it going, guys. Valentine Bluffs. Let's do it up.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good one, guys.
All right,
Let's
see you,
do it.
bud.
Later.
Bye.
See you, man.